So I'm a bit late in covering this news, but I wanted to see if anything would change in this Ubisoft situation where there's like a crazy stuff going on with them where apparently their stocks are down and then they're considered becoming a private company. And I wanted to see if that would, be confirmed or whatever, but it's been like a week now and nothing has changed since this was last reported on. It was the 8th, I believe. So actually it's been more than a week. So I figured I would cover a video now, and if they become private, it's officially confirmed in like a few days, well, whatever. I just wanted to make this video sooner rather than later instead of just waiting forever and ever. So yeah, we're going to be going over what happened with Ubisoft because I'm sure many of you guys heard what happened, but I do want to go more into detail and also share my own thoughts. So yeah, let's just get right into it, shall we? So right now I'm looking at this article by Searwood.news. This article was released on the 8th of October, and it talks about how September might go down as the worst month in the history for the video game publisher Ubisoft. Because so many things happened in September. It was like crazy stuff. So first of all, they announced they were having game delays, investigations, devastating financial blows, and we'll get more into detail on that later. But apparently overall they lost 41% of their value in September, and its stock plummeted a new 10-year low. The article continues to go on saying that that's just the latest leg down for Ubisoft, that's a funny term, which has fallen from a pre-pandemic high of $23 a share to $2.21, okay, and 86 decrease since September 2019. Anyway, on Friday, investors got a pop when Bloomberg reported that Ubisoft founding father is in talks with big investor Tencent to potentially sell the company. And then the stock went up by 33%, but that move didn't even get it back to where it was as recently as September 9th. So first, before we continue on with this article, basically what it's trying to say, this thing, because I already kind of have trouble, but I get what it's trying to say. So if you're a big dummy like me, basically to dumb it down, the profits for Ubisoft are going downhill really fast, and there's multiple reasons this is happening that I want to talk about. One is mostly well known, but the other one I feel like it's not brought up nearly enough. But because it's going downhill, there are talks that it will become a private company, Ubisoft. Now, what does that mean, a private company? Well, Val is a private company. They do the Portal games, Half-Life games. They're the main guys to do Steam. They're a private-based company. Now, being a private company wouldn't change much of anything besides the public perception of like the shares wouldn't be shown off because it would be private. Who would have guessed? Information would be top secret. It would only be in the people, like the investors, and it wouldn't be shared out to the public. But look, if it become a private company, again, that's not going to fix much because the people that are running Ubisoft, that are making these decisions that are causing the company to go downhill, they're still going to be running it. The only way things would really change is if they change like the people running it, they change the investors. So if nothing changes besides that they are bought out by a private company, I mean, the same thing will still be happening, just we wouldn't see it, which, I mean, I don't know how you would feel about that. Like, I don't think that's a good thing. But anyway, I'll talk more about the reasons why this is happening in a bit. But the article continues on saying if the company gets taken private at levels it hasn't consistently traded at since 2014, things are going to get better instantly. Ubisoft's bad news has snowballed into an avalanche weighing down the global brand. So first, I think this first started off when the company canceled its appearance in the Tokyo Game Show, which was near the end of October. They also postponed all press previews for the holiday release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Then people found out that Ubisoft end-of-year blockbuster was being delayed to Valentine's Day 2025. And the reason why this is happening is because Star Wars Outlaws failed to hit internal goals. And all of this happened within a span of 48 hours. So Yeah, it's not good. Usually, these Assassin's Creed games are Ubisoft's bread and butter. They make money off of them. And when you see that game get delayed from, the end of this year, where it would sell pretty well, all things considered, to like beginning of next year to February, that's not good. Especially because that's a samurai game. And I'm going to be honest, I think most people that, including myself, that were somewhat interested in Assassin's Creed Shadows kind of don't care anymore now that Ghost of Utia or whatever the Ghost of Tsushima sequel is announced. Like, especially, and there's also a lot of other samurai type games that are coming out. I mean, Assassin's Creed Shadows is just kind of a drop in the bucket. So I think people just don't care anymore. And there's another host of Ubisoft problems with Assassin's Creed and the game series as well. Okay, let's continue on. I'll finish the article and then I'll talk about some of my reasonings as to why this is happening. Okay, disappointing sales are one thing, but anyone who's been following the output of Ubisoft recently knows that company hits on each Assassin's Creed title coming out to big numbers and a delay into a crowded first quarter isn't ideal. If Shadows flops, it could spell an even more disaster for Ubisoft. All that summed up in a press release from September 25th explaining away the reasons for the bad press and recalculating financial targets was bad enough. Then Ubisoft said an executive committee would launch a review of the company's strategy, which means they are investigating what are they doing wrong. Like, they're looking into stuff like that. And yeah, it's it's not looking good. Still making more high quality games and selling a lot of them is the only real answer to the company's woes. Ubisoft didn't respond to a request for comment. Is that a great time to be a company that publishes video games or a worker at one of these companies? The industry has been gutted by layoffs, including at Microsoft, Sony, Epic Games. Gaming industry is cutthroat. Fewer games are being released and costs are going up for the companies that make games and the players who buy them. Today, making games costs more than ever, takes longer than ever, and is riskier than ever, and fewer opportunities mean increased pressure for each release to be a smash hit. And lately, the way Ubisoft games have been reviewed critically, let's say, is not on a hot streak. Then there's more to this article, which we'll talk about. I'll probably skim through some of it, but basically, these are some of the big reasons why this is happening to Ubisoft. Of course, there's other reasons too. There's like a thing in this article here, I believe, where they mention toxic workplace allegations and stuff like that, which is not good. But the reason why this is happening overall is just because of the fact that their games are really buggy at launch and they come out very not reviewed well, and when they are eventually patched up and fixed and ready to go, they are usually heavily discounted, so you wouldn't have to buy a $70-$60 game. And I feel like most people understand the bugginess part, the bad reviews. That's what happened with Star Wars Outlaws. It was buggy, it wasn't reviewed the best. But another thing that a lot of people don't mention, I've only seen like a few people talk about this, is that, again, it takes like, Ubisoft games go on sale like really quickly. Like, it takes like a very short amount of time. Like, within even like a few months, it goes on sale. And I've noticed this before where they complain about, feels like every company, especially Square Enix, but Ubisoft too, it feels like every company is saying how sales don't meet expectations. And the reason why is because a lot, especially with Ubisoft, these games go on sale so often that there's no reason to buy them out now, especially because if they're buggy, if they're really buggy, why would you buy it now, Like, they were disappointed in the sales for Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, but that game is going on sale more, and I think it's doing better now. I think the game has reached expectations for them because of that game going on sale. I mean, they trained their audience to wait for a sale. I mean, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle has been cheap for like a while. It's been like constantly like less than like $15, $10, and it's a good game. But again, we know to wait for these games to go on sale, especially because most of the time they're really buggy. And I mean, that's not just the only thing, another reason why it's just because people are getting tired of Ubisoft games, like specifically their formula, the open world type thing. You even see people complain about this in like non-Ubisoft games where they have open worlds that are similar to the type of Ubisoft thing. Like I know people, I myself included, love Ghost of Tsushima, but I've seen some people complain that it kind of has the Ubisoft approach to the open world, and that's like one of the lesser great things about it. Like Ubisoft has become kind of a bad name because they've been this typical cookie cutter stuff, making the same types of games. And when they do make new games, sometimes they're not really that good or highly reviewed. And then either way, even if it's a great game or not, these games will go on sale eventually. So that's like probably the biggest reason why it is just all happening downhill really fast. And Star Wars Outlaws was probably one of the bigger points for why this was happening, probably because of the price. Like the price, it had like weird, like I feel like they had way more expensive deluxe editions than any other game I've seen before, like $120. Like I don't know, I feel like most games don't have that much high digital deluxe editions. And then if you bought one of those the day the game came out, there was a patch that was released and that deleted your save data. I think that deflated a lot of people's opinions. And because this was kind of, this is a Star Wars game, which Star Wars is a big property, and this is like one of the first major ones that isn't made by EA. I think people were having some somewhat high expectations from it, even though they were a little bit concerned about Ubisoft handling it. And when that happened, the price and the bugs, especially that glitch where it deleted your save data, that's horrible. Especially because the digital deluxe thing gave you early access, for like 3 days. So if you progress like most of the way to the game and then you had to delete everything, like, oh my god, that would suck. I would not buy another Ubisoft game again at full price or above that, if I did that. Yeah, those are some of the biggest reasons I think this is happening. But like I said, there's also other stuff going on. Ubisoft has been plagued by sexual harassment scandals, toxic workplace allegations, all that sort of stuff. I mean, there were a lot of other Assassin's Creed Shadows, like, controversies too. One about apparently not being completely historically accurate, the game, which I think is kind of dumb because it's a video game. It's not trying to be super historically accurate, like it's, I don't know. I think people complain a lot about some things when they don't have to be, especially compared to the actual bigger stuff that Ubisoft has issues going with. But anyways, the article just continues on saying how half of the board of directors of Ubisoft are run by the Golmato family members. I don't know. But basically, this is saying what I was saying before, where even if they go private, things wouldn't change much, besides we wouldn't see what's going on. So yeah. And then there's also things going on with, I mean, have you seen, this is another thing that's kind of mentioned in this article, but I do want to talk about this too. This Ubisoft has a weird issue with their games. Some of them taking way too long to come out. I mean, Skull and Bones was one of the most infamous ones. That game, took like 11 years, and when it came out, no one cared. Everyone didn't like it, There's also the Splinter Cell reboot, which Ubisoft has been saying they're working on it for years now. The Prince of Persia Lost Crown. I don't know, there's like some sort of Prince of Persia remake and it was like delayed and they restarted development or whatever. Another thing is Beyond Good and Evil 2, I believe. Like why are these games taking so long from Ubisoft? And I think a big part of it is because they're in the back burner, they really mostly care about their Assassin's Creed and some other things here and there, and they don't see these other types of games as being too important, so that's why they're delayed by so much. Also, it could be that they're not figuring things out, like on how this game could work or whatever, but it's still weird that these games take way long. This is before, we had these notoriously long cycles of game development, 7 years, 8 years or whatever. Like many companies like Xbox, Sony, even Nintendo with the Tears of the Kingdom, that took a while to come out, and that reused assets from Breath of the Wild. Like, these games are taking longer, but this whole situation with Skull and Bones, Beyond Good and Evil 2, and many others, this has been going on longer than this, so what the heck is going on? In my humble opinion, I think Ubisoft is going to become a private company. I don't know when. It might be soon. It might be after Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't know, but I think it will happen, and I don't think it's gonna help much because I mean we wouldn't see the results. But unless they completely change out most, if not all, of the investors or the founding members or whatever, however the company works, I'm not a technical know-how person. If they change that, I think we could see some real change from Ubisoft. But overall, I mean, it's going downhill, and I really don't think going private will help at least much, but maybe it will help a little bit, and maybe they could refocus internally without having to be public about everything, but I just don't think it will do much. And I feel like I don't want to say anything because I think Ubisoft will be fine, even if they struggle like a lot. I don't think they will go bankrupt or anything, but I do think there is a possibility that something major does happen to Ubisoft besides it going private, which would be major, but it wouldn't be like groundbreaking like change because lots of people are expecting it. I feel like something will happen with Ubisoft. Like again, I doubt it will be bankruptcy, but something will happen that will make people go in the game industry, wow, this is really it. We are facing the next video game crash, which I've been talking about even in yesterday's video with Bandai Namco. I made a whole video talking about this before too, on a video game crash coming, being imminent. I just think this is setting up for something to happen in the near future. I do have an idea for that, so let me know if you guys have any ideas of how Ubisoft could fix themselves, I guess, or if you think a video game crash is imminent. I really do think it's possible. Again, I don't know if Ubisoft will go bankrupt, but something major will happen because I feel like with Ubisoft, because of how big of a company it is, I think if it does fall to some extent, that will get a lot of people in the game industry, which already are talking about this, gamers, and even some developers are saying, games are taking too long, higher budgets, former presidents of Sony, I saw that earlier today. But more people will be talking about it if something big happens to Ubisoft, in my opinion, and I think it's gonna happen sooner rather than later. But anyways, guys, that's it. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and play some Xenoblade. I'll catch you all next time for more. Peace. Bye, everyone.